South Korea is over. This may sound harsh, but South Korea is on the brink of unraveling on every front, demographically, economically, socially, culturally, and militarily. For decades now, the country has faced a fertility crisis unlike anything else in human history, and we've likely crossed the point of no return. By 2060, the South Korea we recognize and admire today might be gone. So what will this collapse look like, and why is stopping it almost impossible? The real population bomb. To maintain a stable population, you need a fertility rate of around 2.1 children per woman. Back in the 1950s, South Korean women had, on average, 6 children. But by the 1980s, the rate dropped below 2. And in 2023, it was 0.72 children per woman, the lowest figure ever recorded in history. In Seoul, it's even worse, averaging around 0.55. In practical terms, that means half of all women won't have any children, and the other half will likely have just one. So what do these figures mean in real life? If fertility rates stay the same, 100 South Koreans today will have 36 children. Those children will have 13 kids, and their children will have just 5. Within 4 generations, 100 South Koreans would shrink to just 5 people. When we look at South Korea's current population pyramid, it checks out. There's only one 1-year-old for every 4 50-year-olds. After 4 decades below replacement levels, the effects have remained mostly hidden. Today, South Korea's population is at its peak, as are its workforce and GDP, which continues to grow. But demographic change hits like a freight train. You hear it rumbling in the distance, and then suddenly, it hits you full force. And South Korea is standing right on the tracks. Let's fast forward 35 years into the future, to 2060, and take a look at what the country could become. When it comes to demographics, the most widely used forecasts come from the UN. They provide 3 scenarios: low, medium, and high fertility. But historically, the UN's medium scenario for South Korea has always been too optimistic. Between just 2022 and 2023, fertility dropped another 8%. So we're going with the latest low fertility scenario, which has proven the most accurate in recent years. Keep in mind, these are still forecasts. The future remains unknown territory. All right, let's dive in. By 2060, South Korea's population pyramid will be transformed. The population will have shrunk by 30%. That means 16 million South Koreans gone in just 35 years, and it will become the oldest nation in human history. Half the population will be over 65. Fewer than 1 in 10 will be under 25, and just 1 in 500 will be under 25. 100 will be small children. Picture waking up in a country where the streets are eerily silent, children nowhere to be seen. Whole towns and cities are deserted. Half the population is elderly, either living alone or crammed into retirement homes. Only a small minority will be struggling to keep society functioning. Economic collapse. In 2023, about 40% of South Koreans over 65 lived below the poverty line. But by 2060, that number might look optimistic by comparison. Today, South Korea has one of the biggest pension funds on Earth, worth around $730 billion. However, it's expected to stop growing in the 2040s and could be depleted entirely by the 2050s. This means, by 2060, pensions would need to be supported by the working population. Experts differ, but for a pension system to be sustainable, you generally need 2 to 3 workers supporting each retiree through taxes. Even assuming every South Korean over 15 is working, the country will still have fewer than 1 worker per retiree. The workforce simply won't be able to cover the astronomical costs, so elderly poverty will be widespread, and many seniors will have no choice but to work. But jobs might not be there, as South Korea's economy could be in ruins by then. An economy's size generally mirrors its workforce, You need lots of people to produce goods and services, and others to buy them. Currently, South Korea has 37 million working-age citizens, creating a GDP of about $1.7 trillion. But by 2060, the workforce is expected to fall below 17 million. Sure, technological progress might boost productivity, so each worker produces more than today. But even if productivity keeps growing steadily, South Korea's GDP may peak in the 2040s. After that, it could enter a permanent economic decline. More optimistic forecasts delay the downturn until 2050, but they rely on medium fertility predictions. And we've seen no sign of those materializing. Innovation, science, and technological breakthroughs are often driven by the young and middle-aged. With far fewer of them around, innovation could stall. Tax revenue will also plummet, just as the government needs more money to care for a swelling elderly population. The state will be forced to make hard choices, cutting back on essential services like healthcare and benefits. Because infrastructure only works at scale, small towns may be abandoned as the country retreats into major cities, and there will be little left to invest in the future. That's bad. But what might happen to South Korean society and culture could be even worse. South Korea's story isn't just about numbers, charts, or projections. It's a mirror held up to the rest of the world. What's happening here is a warning shot, an echo of what might come for many other nations if we don't start asking hard questions now. How do we build a society where having a family isn't a burden, but a dream worth chasing? Can we rethink how we work, live, and connect before the silence becomes deafening? Because while the freight train may be heading straight for South Korea today, the tracks are already being laid elsewhere. The future isn't written yet, but time is running out. Thanks for watching.